Okay, the tea that we're making today is called Kombucha tea. Kombucha, K-O-M-B-U-C-H-A is the name of the tea. And this tea has a lot of health benefits to it. It helps stabilize your body metabolism, and it helps improve your digestion and your absorption of the nutrients in the food that you eat. It has a ton of other health benefits that I won't get into detail today. The main intent of this video today is to teach you how to make kombucha tea. When I prepare a batch of kombucha tea, I start the day before I actually make the tea. And the reason I do that is I have a large stainless steel container. Now it's important not to use aluminum pans or cast iron or anything. It was easy for me because I just happen to have a stainless steel pans at home, which I'm using. But the day before, I fill up this large pan right here with water, just water from the tap. But I have city water, which has chlorine in it. So I set the pan, I fill the pan up with water the night before, I just let it set for 24 hours or 12 hours. And that's to allow the chlorine in the water to burn off. Okay, so I set this pan on the stove the day before. The day that I'm going to actually make the tea, I boil a little more than 2 quarts of water in a pan on, again, a stainless steel pan on the stove. It's 2 quarts. When I make my tea in 2 1-gallon containers at a time. So I make 2 batches of 1-gallon containers of tea at a time. So when I do that, I put a little bit more than 2 quarts of water in a separate stainless steel pan. Bring it to a boil and let it boil for 10 minutes. The reason I do that is, again, to let the chlorine burn off the water. All right. Once I've let the water boil for 10 minutes, I put in tea bags into the water to steep. Now, since I make my tea 2 gallons at a time, the ratio of tea to water that I make for the tea is 6 to 8 tea bags with a quart of water that's been boiled, and a 1 2/3 or 1 1/3, you don't have to be exact, of sugar. And this is just regular old white sugar cane sugar. You don't have to get anything fancy. It's just plain old sugar. And again, what I use is 6 to 8 tea bags in a quart of water that I boiled on the stove, and 1 2/3 or 1 1/3 cup of sugar. Now, because I'm making 2 gallons at a time, instead of doing this 2 separate times, what I've done is I boiled the water a little earlier today, and I put in 16 tea bags. Now, the tea that I use for my kombucha tea is organic green tea. Okay?
Can you show that to us?
And this is the box that I get at my local Whole Foods grocery store. It's organic green tea, and it just so happens that this box of green tea is 80 bags in a box. Now, the nice thing about these tea bags is that they come in a package like this, 10 tea bags at a time. They don't have the strings or the staples in them, all right? So this is what makes it easy for me. And what I do is I just put 16 tea bags, and that's like 8 bags for each gallon of tea.
Let's see a close-up of that box so we can see the brand you happen to use.
This is what I use, but this is not a necessity of what you use. You can use regular tea bags.
Great.
And most people, when they make the green tea, they use green tea and black tea. You can even do a combination of green and black tea if you'd like. The only thing I don't recommend is using herbal teas. If you're concerned about caffeine, or don't like it, or don't prefer not to have caffeine in your tea, you can use a red tea called Roobos, R-O-O-I-B-O-S. It's not technically a tea in the true sense of the word, but it's very much like that. It comes from South Africa, and it's a red tea bush. So it's called Roobos, R-O-O-I-B-O-S, and again, it doesn't have any caffeine in it. You can use that too if you like.